Okay, so I'm going to do a quick overview of how to calculate your grade because I have got questions on this a lot as the semester has gone on. And this works for my class, but it also would be for any class where there's a percentage of what your grade is going to end up being. So the breakdown is participation is 20%, homework is 20%, participation, homework, tests are 25%, I think. No, they might be 20, but I think they're 25. Quizzes are 15%. And then the final is worth 20%. So that's the breakdown. Now for quizzes, I drop the lowest 2. For homework, I drop the lowest 3. And for participation, I give 5 free absences, basically. It ends up being about 10% of a curve. So it might be 5 or 6, depending on how many I take. I'm not 100% sure. And then for the tests, I drop the lowest one. So when you're trying to calculate your grade, you want to look at the average. And I actually think that Canvas gives you an average of these. So say that you have an 82% participation grade. That would become a 92%. Sorry, I got a phone call. Okay, so that would become 92%. Say that you got a, let me extend my camera. Let's say you have 100 on most of your homework, but there's 3 that you turned in late or whatever. So those 3 get dropped and you would have 100% average on your homework. So that's your average. This is your average. And then for your tests, the average of the highest 2. So at this point, your test average can only go up. So the 2 tests you have right now, those might be the lowest 2 you have. So if you get a higher grade, it'll go up. Or if you get a lower grade, it won't drop down. So your test average is pretty much set now. It can't go down at all. So let's say you have an 85 average on your tests. And then your quizzes, we'll say you have an 80 average on your quizzes. And then your final exam, we don't know yet. So what I typically do is I know that I have 20 points from participation times my percent that I have, my average percent, which is actually 0.92. I have 20 points that come from homework times 100%. So that's times 1. So you move the decimal over 2. So times 1 for the percentage of your average. My tests are worth 25, and then times 0.85 because it's 85%. And then my quizzes are worth, right now I have 80 and they're worth 15, so times 0.8. So I would do the math on all of those and then add it up. Okay, so I've put together all these numbers. If you multiply 20 times 0.92, that would give you 18.4. So basically, of these 20 points for participation, you get 18.4 of them because you're present 92% of the time. For homework, for the 20 points that you get from homework, if you have 100% average, then you get all 20 of those points. For the 25 points you get from tests, if you have an 85 average, 25 times 0.85 is 21.25. And then for your quizzes, 0.8 times 15 is 12. So adding all those together, and you would get 71.6 71.65. So if that is your current average, 71.65, based on everything we have right now, this is how many points you have. But we didn't take your final into account yet. So you actually will get 20 more points from your final. So depending on what your grade is for your final, that's what your average is going to be. So typically, I encourage students to calculate everything that they have. Canvas does calculate your grade, but it's not always 100% accurate. But so this student is consistently getting 80s. If they got 80% also on their final, then they would end up with 16 more points. So if we made the final worth 80, that would be plus 16, and this student would end up 5, 6, 7, 87.5 would be their overall average. So that's how you can kind of calculate your grade in the class, and you can estimate what your final grade might be, or what do you need to get on the final to pass, or what do you need on the final to get an A. So if this person wanted an A, let's say an A is usually 90 minus 71.65. I'm going to put this in my calendar. 90 minus 71.65. They would need 18.35 points to get an A in the class. So then you'd have to sort of do the math of if your final is worth 20%, what is 18 divided by that? So that would be equal to, you'd need to get a 91. You basically say, what is the percent of that? It would be 91 or 0.9157. So they need to get about a 92% on the final to be able to get an A in the class. So a lot of times around this time of the semester, I have students asking that question a lot, is how can I calculate my grade? And this is how I calculate grades for percentages. This is how it would work for any grade that you have with an instructor, that different things are worth different percent. So hopefully that is helpful, and let me know if you have any questions.